Yup, it happened again. Stay tuned. Okay, guys, I have to say it happened again. And what happened again was I was contacted by someone who is a professional comic presser, comic cleaner, things of that nature. And he does have a YouTube channel. And he also is on Instagram, actively on Instagram. Now, this little light bulb is what caused him to contact me. I am not going to mention the fella's name or his channel because he's not here to defend himself. I will say, however, that this fella is the same person who attacked Rick from Immaculate Comics viciously on Instagram, saying things, making accusations, things of that nature. Now, Rick is a nice guy. I'm friends with him. I do speak with him via Instagram, and I have no problem with Rick. I think Rick is giving a service to the community with what he does. But guess what? The same individual now directed his issues against me, Jerry the Jitterbug's channel. Now, I just want to say, for clarity, right from the beginning, I am not a professional in this field. I do not charge people for me to work on their books. I do not have a fee set. I do not make any income on working on comics. I do it for the hobby, and most importantly, I do it to try to preserve and to conserve old comics that are in bad condition, like this Flash Comics 78. So that's my main goal. There is no financial gain that I receive from putting uploads on YouTube, on Instagram, nothing. I do receive monetization from YouTube, but very little. It's nothing. So I just find it quite absurd when someone feels it necessary to contact me with the goal of, I guess, trying to teach me a lesson. I'm not the best with what I do. I am not an expert in the field. I learn. For those of you who watch my channel, I make plenty of mistakes, but I learn from my mistakes. If you want to see the best, I think, conservationists out there, I would say the best is my friend Kenny Sanderson. Go check him out on Instagram. He works on top books, expensive books, books I wouldn't even want to touch. And he is the best, at least in the conservation field, in my opinion. And his work is the type of work that I strive to do. I study his pictures and I want to learn. And I'm fortunate right now that I became friends with Kenny. And we do talk on the phone from time to time and we text one another. So I'm very fortunate, and there's a lot of good people in the comic community. With that stated, there's other people in the comic community that are not so good, that are condescending, that think they know more than you. They may know more than you, but there is a way to communicate with someone who knows more than you in a civil way. Like when I spoke with Rick today from Immaculate Comics. So let's get to the bottom of what this guy's problem is. And I'm going to do it as clear as possible. So stick with me and we're going to go over. There was primarily 2 to 3 major issues that he had with me, which essentially ended with him saying I shouldn't even have a YouTube channel if I'm not going to say the right things or do the research before I upload something. So let's go over them one at a time. Okay, guys, as you saw, the first issue that this fella had with my upload regarding photo bleaching was in relation to this light bulb, or this LED light. He had two problems with it. The first problem that he was trying to communicate with me in a condescending way is that I did not give proper credit to Captain Mike for using this light bulb. Now, Captain Mike is someone who has a channel on YouTube, and he has many books that I see that he sells. I have nothing against him. I actually think Captain Mike and those books, which I don't have any, are great because I see a lot of fellow YouTubers using them, using the process. So it's wonderful. He is a positive force in the comic community. And let me show his page right now. So the issue that this fella had was that this light bulb that I used, I should have acknowledged that I used this light bulb because Captain Mike lists this light bulb in one of his books. And by me not saying that I am using this light bulb because of Captain Mike was wrong. I did a bad thing. I'm going to be honest. I didn't get this light bulb from Captain Mike. And the fella who was contacting me on Instagram, chastising me, said that I was playing dumb, that I didn't know that the source of this light bulb was from Captain Mike's literature. Now's the time, guys. I'm going to say how I learned about this. And I really don't like doing this that much. I just did it to try something out on my channel. I prefer an aqueous bath and soaking the cover with chloramine tea and my stuff that I do. So I found this by watching a video, and it wasn't the same light bulb, but there were two channels that I discovered the blue light and hydrogen peroxide mixture. The first one was a channel by a channel named Rescue and Restore. I'm going to give the actual listing right now on YouTube so you can check it out. Now, Rescue and Restore is something I found when I shot about a year ago an upload regarding my Millennium Falcon, my original Millennium Falcon that I wanted to restore. I'll leave the link to that upload. Check it out because I have some cool vintage Star Wars toys. So Rescue and Restore took the Millennium Falcon, put it in a tank with hydrogen peroxide, and used blue LED lights. So I thought that was cool. Very good. I was going to do it to my Millennium Falcon. The next channel that I want to do a shout out that I learned about using blue LED lights in relation to lighting things was the Comic Book Underground. Now, that channel is Big Jim's channel, and I really like his content, and I'm doing a shout out. And let me show you his page. Now, Big Jim used LED blue lights. He called it UV lights with hydrogen peroxide. And I thought it was very cool. And I'll even show you right now a picture where I commented on Big Jim's channel a year ago. Let's take a look. So it is those two channels that I learned about the UV light process. How did I get this bulb? I'll tell you how I got this bulb. I got this bulb from another fellow YouTuber, Charles, from Hobby Heroes. Now, Charles does this type of work all the time. And about a year ago, we went back and forth on Instagram, and this is how I learned about this bulb, and I ordered it through Charles. So by me doing that and learning by Hobby Heroes and Charles what type of bulb, it wasn't through Captain Mike. And it's okay if it wasn't through him. So the way this fella was talking to me, it's like he felt every artist who paints a picture has to give credit to a caveman for putting some caveman art on the wall. Or every political scientist out there who writes a thesis has to give credit to Aristotle for his work. It just doesn't work that way, fella. And again, Captain Mike, great channel, wonderful fella for the community. No problem with him. He is a great channel, but it's just not how I learned about this. I just told you how I learned about this, but he didn't believe me. He thought I was playing dumb. The next issue that he had was that I didn't do research regarding this bulb. His problem was that I referred it as a UV light. Now I know it's a blue light. Listen, I'm not an expert with this, so I'll call it a blue light now. But I did speak to Rick from Immaculate Comics, and he did say there is a very small percentage of UV light that does come from this light bulb. So all you need is a little bit for it to be a UV light, I guess. But I'm not even going to get into that for a point. And getting back to Captain Mike, I'll tell you right now, I see a few channels on YouTube now that do similar work that I do. They use Rimet paper, they use Hollytex. In fact, on a weekly basis, I get messages on Instagram for people asking me, where do I get my supplies? Where do I get my chemicals? And I answer it freely. I do not expect anything. I'm open. I'm an open book. But I don't expect if someone's going to be using Rimet paper or Hollytex that they have to say, I want to give credit to Jerry the Jitterbug. People who want that, who expect that, in my opinion, have self-esteem problems. They need to be told. They need to be reassured that they are, or they perceive they are, the reason why things happen. It's just not that way, my friends. The next problem or grievance that this fella had with me was, let's take a look. You just saw really the main issue, in addition to the other issues this fella had with what I said and did in my upload regarding photo bleaching, was that I took a view that what you put into a book should be flushed out. And he really did not like that I said that. And he said I was wrong, and that hydrogen peroxide can be left in the book without any damage. Simply stated, I guess it's maybe a difference of philosophy. Now, my philosophy may be different from his philosophy, but it doesn't make it wrong. And he did not like that. He was a person with one view only, and that's it. So it may be a different approach that I have, but it doesn't make it wrong. So I refer you to a wonderful website if anyone's interested. It's the Paper Conservation Wiki. compiled by the American Institute of Conservation, or AIC. I'm going to show you the page right now so you can go and peruse it if you're interested. Now, this website has many studies performed in relation to the impact of hydrogen peroxide on ancient paper or old paper. And it is something that you should look at because it offers a different view. My view is conservation to preserve books for future generations. Perhaps his view is to do all that is possible to bump the grade of a book to get a higher CGC rating and more value. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's nothing wrong with me having a different view. Now, if you review the many articles in the website that I just showed, some of the studies show that by putting hydrogen peroxide on paper and not flushing it will produce oxidative deterioration of paper. It can degrade the paper when the hydrogen peroxide decomposes and releases oxygen gas in the paper, making brittle paper more brittle. Oxygen gas evolution during immersion can blister short-fibered papers and degrade mold damage or laminated papers, and it also can sensitize papers to light after being exposed to hydrogen peroxide and not having it flushed out. Now, you go on YouTube and in fact, Big John, who I believe is an expert with hydrogen peroxide and blue LED lights, says right from the get-go that hydrogen peroxide will make paper brittle, if not washed out. And I am of that belief. Agree with me, disagree with me, it is okay. It's not a problem. The problem is not respecting my opinion with what I do to comic books and not respecting my opinion with what I feel in relation to my conservation of these precious documents. So I'm sorry that I had a vent in relation to what happened. I was chilling, relaxing with a fire close to Christmas, hanging out with my family when I got berated, ding, 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 with messages from this fella on Instagram. And it wasn't very nice, and it actually kept me a little unsettled for the whole night thinking about this, because I'm doing this for fun and to conserve these guys, not to debate people and to have people come to me and try to give me lectures telling me I'm wrong, telling me that I shouldn't have a YouTube channel. That's not a good person. Keep your opinions, if they're negative, to yourself or to other channels, because I won't back down if you want to come after me. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching.